Welcome to tonight's Alumni Speaker Series. I am joined this evening by Jason Burden. My name is Annie Puffett. I'm the Director of Career Development here at Upper Iowa, located in the Fayette campus, but connecting with our students nationwide, students and alums nationwide, as is evident by having Jason on here with us tonight. So I'm joined by Jason Burden, who is a graduate from our Baton Rouge location, a recent graduate of 2025 with a majored in liberal arts, but he is also now a current student again in the master's program, who he'll talk about a little bit later, but has several years in education industry and being involved in the workforce already, and a non-traditional student joining Upper Iowa a little bit later. Not necessarily right out of high school. And so want to welcome Jason to the conversation tonight. And I know there's several things that you want to talk about, but I'm just going to kick it right off and have you tell us a little bit about yourself to get things going.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. My name is Jason Burden. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I am a 2025 graduate at Upper Iowa University, and now I'm a graduate student pursuing my MBA. And so I'm extremely excited about that. Just a little bit about me. I'm a brother or son, entrepreneur, an author. I like hanging out with friends. I enjoy hiking, running, anything that brings peace. That's me. So just to give a little bit about me.
And shout out to our Baton Rouge, Louisiana Center. I know they've been helping to kind of promote this and have been a large part of why you have continued on to Upper Iowa with the connections that you have made there. So shout out to our center down there in Baton Rouge. Can you give us a little bit of background on what brought you to Upper Iowa? Why Upper Iowa? Why now?
Well, I wanted to further my education. And so, like you stated, I was a non-traditional student. And so I wanted to be able to go back to school and pursue my education. And I knew I wanted to advance my career and move up in higher levels. And so I knew in order for me to do that, I had to, um, for like I stated, further my education. And so I chose Upper Iowa because I actually heard of it through my sister who was had a coworker who attended the school. And so he had recently graduated. And so I applied at different other schools, but once I applied at Upper Iowa, I went there, went to the school, and I instantly felt at home. And I felt for me, I had to figure out what was the best fit for me as a non-traditional student, and that can meet me where where I'm at in my life right now. And so being able to balance a full-time job, I knew that if I was to go back to school, I couldn't be able to go during the day like a traditional student. And so I had to figure out what worked for me and my current life. And so they told me of the different options that I had, the online program, and then also the center base. And so the classes were in the evening, and so I was like, perfect. This is perfect for me. I'm able to go to work, go to school, and also pursue uh, other things that I wanted to pursue as well. And so the staff was just extremely professional. They were extremely supportive, and they got me squared away right away. I actually planned on attending. I went there in that September, and I planned on attending that January, and I ended up starting in October. So I was extremely excited about that. And so, like I say, it was just I felt instantly at home, and it was just a great experience as far as getting enrolled and getting all the things necessary that I needed. It was a smooth process. So I was ready to roll.
And you loved it so much that you didn't want to leave and you just kept right on going.
Yes, I continued on to get my MBA, and so I didn't think of any other school that I wanted to go to after that. So,
You mentioned in conversations with me previously that you realized you needed to have an advanced degree in order to be able to move into the different leadership roles that you were thinking of. Can you talk about your career thus far up to now and the different roles and experiences that you've had?
I actually started off, it's funny because my mom used to tell me as a kid to go into education, but I was like, no, I don't want to be a teacher. But I ended up starting off at a program called Big Buddy Program, which is like a boys and girls club.
Okay.
And so I started off as a program instructor because at the time I was at a school named Southern University at the time. And so I went there as a program instructor, and we taught enrichment and also worked with tutoring. And so once I did that, I worked there a couple of years and got promoted to a program manager. And so that was my first touch of leadership, being in leadership as a manager. And so as a transition, I moved on to working at the Louisiana Department of Education here at the state of Louisiana, and I worked in the Office of Child Care. Initially, when I started off as uh, administrative coordinator two, and so I got promoted into a supervisor one, and then I got promoted again into a supervisor two, and then I got promoted again into a program manager. And so I kept moving into a leadership role. So I was like, okay, this is something that I really enjoy, something that I love to do. And I just love making a difference in families and children and families. And so I felt a passion. And like I stated before, working at Big Buddy, I gained that passion with working with children. And so being able to work at the Louisiana Department of Education, working in early childhood, I knew I was making an impact with the children and families in the state of Louisiana. And so I had two teams, one that focused on child care assistance for early childhood, and then I had another team that focused on provider certification, which is for um, individuals like individuals wanting to become licensed daycare providers. And so I had a huge team, and then I was there for 9 years. And so once I moved on from that, I was like, okay, I got closer to graduating. I'll say that. And so I was like, I actually want to move on to something else. And so I started looking online and started applying for the jobs. And now I'm working at a company called WRMA, which is federally funded through the Administration of Children and Families, Office of Child Care. And so I work as a research associate, aka a monitoring liaison. That's what we are called. And so we have at WRMA we have many federal contracts, and so we have plenty of different departments that if anyone is interested in that they can look into at www.wrma.com if they want to look into it, or LinkedIn, you can check that out. And it's so many departments I can't really go into it. But for it's me, I work in early childhood, and so I pretty much focus on ensuring compliance with child care development funds, which is a federal program. And so I'm not sure if people really know what child care development funds are, but it's a federal program that is given by the uh, federal government for each state. And so it allows children and families to allow the parents to pay for low income families to pay for daycare while they go to work or school. And so as our job, we pretty much ensure that the states are in compliance with what the federal guidelines are. And so yeah, that's just to give a little bit of background. So we work, like I said, it's a federal job and it's nationwide. And so, yeah, now I'm making an impact nationwide.
That's awesome. Um, you've had multiple different roles within your career already. Were there certain opportunities while you attended Upper Iowa that helped support and shape that career path?
Yes. So I will say one, I will start off with the NSLS. that helped a lot with meeting different people and being involved with that. Also, I would say the professors and that administrators, as far as the academic, my advisor, Ms. Kristen, she helped a lot. And also, I reached out to you all at the career development. And so I want to kind of talk on that a little bit as well to make sure students and alumni as well be sure to reach out to the Office of Career Development because you actually, and this was last year around this time, you actually provided me with feedback on my resume. And so at the time I was looking for employment. And so you provided me with some feedback that I needed to do to enhance my resume. And then also I reached out to Miss Kristen at the Baton Rouge Center and she assisted me as well with my resume. And so that helped my career tremendously because those pinpoints that you guys gave me boosted my resume enough to where I was able to secure a job within a month. And so I started December, but in October, I knew I was starting in December. So um, I want to encourage people to make sure that, you know, you look out for those emails that are coming through and you check your emails daily and make sure that you also utilize the resources and that the different departments that Upper Iowa have that you can benefit from to help enhance your career. So yes, that truly helped that. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that's so great about the support services that we offer here at Upper Iowa is that it's not just for one specific location, one specific demographic. A majority of them are available for all of our students. And so it's great to hear the success stories from our alums and from our students of being able to utilize those resources and the impact that it's having on them. So thank you for reaching out even long before our conversations that we've been having
Yes.
recently. So that's great to hear. We appreciate that, Jason. Um, it's important to be able to set goals, regardless of where any of us see ourselves headed, so that we can accomplish what we are looking for. What motivates you to strive for excellence, and what are some of the goals that you have set out to accomplish in your career? So that's the first part of the question. And then what can you share with our audience about how to achieve their own goals and continue to grow in our careers? And I can repeat that if you need me to later too.
Okay, so I'll start off with what motivates me. And one thing I've always used to motivate me was to know that I'm not perfect and that I'm going to make mistakes. And but each day is to better myself. And so I always use I'm not perfect, but I strive for excellence. So just to know that excellence isn't always about being perfect and just being intentional about your goals. And I knew I also served as a mentor, and I serve as a mentor. I have a nephew that he's in college now, but he always looked up to me, and so I wanted to make sure that I'll be a positive role model just for not him, but for anyone that I come in contact with. And so I always use that as motivation of just trying to better myself and how can I better myself each day. Another thing that I would say is being able to write your goals down. That's extremely important to me. I feel like I use my notebook, my handy dandy notebook all the time, but it's extremely important to you write down those goals and check them off as you go. You may not reach your goal in a month. It may be 2 months, it may be a year, but just to have those things written down, even if it's a poster, whatever it is that to keep you motivated to continue to go. And so those things are what I use, and just being able to utilize different tools and like my cell phone, writing down those goals and talking and sharing with people that continue to encourage me to be better every day. Um, and that helped me to where I am now pretty much. And so I wanted to make sure each goal that I write down, I'm very intentional about. And so um, I wrote down I wanted to be an author, and now I'm an author, and I wrote a children's book called Elijah's Dream. Wrote down I wanted to have my own brand, which is 3G by J. And 3G stand for grounded, godly, and gifted, which I felt like represented. And also, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I decided to go to real estate school, and I had to take my real estate exam, but I finished the school. So I just those things were very important to me to make sure that I'm writing down those goals. I'm very intentional about everything that I do, and that everything is going to come into fruition. It's going to come into time with time, and so um, being able to gain all the knowledge that I gained from school in my professional life and piecing it together to where I can use those strengths for as education and helping with education, helping with children and families nationwide. So I hope that answered some of the question, but
Yep, it does. It answers both parts. So that's great. You talked about how they can do it and what some of
yeah.
those things are for you that have motivated you. So that's great. Can you talk a little bit about your book Elijah's Dream and kind of what that is and kind of where that where that idea came from?
Yeah, so my book Elijah's Dream came from actually I was speaking with some students, and so when I spoke with them, they were just telling me all the dreams that they wanted to be once they grew up, and so I was I didn't mention, but when I was at Big Buddy, I taught theater and I also taught dance. And so I was a theater kid growing up. I enjoyed being in plays and then being an actor. That was my long time goal. But I enjoy writing and just thinking outside of the box. And so I wanted to make sure that I provided something and tools for kids so that way they can get away from the tablets and the iPhones and things like that and get back to the basics of how we grew up with reading and being able to actually have a book and see the illustrations and also knowing with the positive message that they can be whatever they want to be. You just have to apply yourself and you have to work for, what you want. So that's what my book is about. Elijah is actually my middle name. And so I couldn't think of a name. So I was like, it's perfect to represent me because I was once that kid Elijah. So
Is there someplace, if people are interested, is there anywhere where people can purchase Elijah's Dream and learn a little bit more about that? Where can they find that at?
yeah, so you can go to Amazon.com and you can
Perfect.
type in my name, Jason Birdie, Elijah's Dream, and it should populate, or Barnes and Noble as well.
Okay, we will try after the talk tonight. I will try and pop that in the comment section of our Facebook page so that people can hop on and take a look at your book if they are so inclined to do so. And then you also talked about your brand 3G by J. What is that? Like what kind of brand is that? What do you sell with that?
So with my brand 3G by J, I sell a positive clothing line with a positive message. And so um, I'm very big on spreading positivity and encouraging people because I once was a person that received that. And so I want to be able to have something that represent me. And I felt like what three words represent Jason? And it just came out grounded, godly, gifted. And then also the 3G by J, I was like, that's Jason. So and everyone calls me Jay. So that's where the J part come from. So it had a ring to it, but that's my brand. And so I want to be able to like I say, be able to create a legacy and be able to have something to where people know when they see something that's Jason.
And is there a place where people can go to check that stuff out as well?
Yes, they can go to www.3gbyj.com.
All right, we'll throw that in the chat as well a little bit later. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit to leadership qualities and strengths. What are 2 to 3 strengths of, or even leadership qualities that you see in those working in your field? And what are some ways that students and alums can develop some of those same qualities?
Yeah, so I'll say being able to have strong communication. Strong communication is very, very important. So I'll say, and the one thing I'm working on and I encourage people to work on as well which is why I'm appreciating this opportunity, is public speaking. Being able to speak, because in various areas, you have to be able to effectively communicate. And I communicate with people nationwide. And so, being that, I have to make sure that I'm comfortable with speaking, being able to know that I'm confident when speaking. So, being able to do work on public speaking, and also being able to get positive feedback from professors or mentors and things like that, as far as communication skills. Another thing I would say is just adaptability, being able to adapt. Um, I'll say working in government agencies and state government agencies, nothing is going to be the same all the time. And so you have to be able to adjust and be able to adapt to whatever changes that may come, and be able to be a team player. So I'll say being able to take on those projects in school now for students, being able to take on challenging projects that may prepare you, that will, I'm not going to say may, will prepare you for your real world experience. And being able to learn those setbacks and know that what can I do next, even if it's a setback, what can I do next to improve myself? So just like I say, being it's important to make sure that you're able to adapt, and if you have any changes or any setbacks, learning from those setbacks. And then another thing I would say is making sure that you're a team player and that you're involved. So getting involved in things on campus and organizations, and maybe just having being able to volunteer in the community. I think things like that will help you with being a team player, being able to network with people, and be able to have those, be able to learn the skills that you need to work in the real world. Sorry.
Making connections and building relationships is also something that's important in helping any of us advance in our careers. What would you say is your biggest piece of advice for building those relationships?
Biggest piece I would say is being genuine and consistent. That's I'll say the most most thing is making sure that you're very genuine constability, and not thinking, oh, this can work for just this moment, thinking long term. Um, because sometimes we go into situations of where we just may want a situation. Just say if it's a job, or I'm going to reach out to this person for this job, but this person may also be able to help you in the future with something else that may come along. So just being able to be genuine in connections. I'll say that, making sure that you have a mentor. I have a mentor. I've always, anytime I come in contact with someone, I make sure that I always grab some type of connection through LinkedIn, phone number, contact, because you have to have that as far as being able to navigate and move forward in the professional world. And so, if you're an alumni, I suggest sometime reaching out to students that may need advice, or may need, if you're already set in your career, they have people that are students that are looking for someone that may need assistance as far as like navigating through things. So I think that's very helpful as well. And then I'll just say, just making sure that you stay connected. Like I stated, just connection through LinkedIn, making sure that maintain contact with people and things like that. So making sure also professional development workshops, things like that. So I'll say those are things that would help us, like I say, and building networks. Yes.
Career readiness. I know we've talked about this in our different conversations. It's an important piece in higher education, career services with employers across the country. What competencies do you feel? And I know you've kind of talked about some of them already with communication and teamwork and those things. What ones do you feel are the most important in helping someone excel in their career goals?
Like you stated, communication, being a teamwork, being a team player, um, being able to be a leader, I think that's very important. Um, Also, just I'll say adaptability. I know it's not one of the top eight, but adaptability, being able to adapt, remaining professional at all times, and I say uh, just self development. I think that's another thing. Just making sure we continue to work on ourselves. Like I say, internships, being able to go to different things that you may feel that can enhance your career. Uh, I think those things are very.
And then how would you encourage others to improve upon those skills and competencies?
I would say if you're working already, if you're a non-traditional student like I was, I would say to make sure that you're reaching out to your professors. Um, Make sure you reach out to your supervisors at your jobs, peers, things like that, to get feedback. I think feedback helped me a lot, and it helped me to be able to grow. Because we sometimes we may not see things, or we may see things one way, but someone else may see something different. So being able to get that feedback so that we can identify growth areas that we need. I'll say also just like I stated, professional development workshops. Also being able to take on, if you're a student, take on group projects. I know that I was always a person, I despised group projects, but I always felt like group projects, being able to take on leadership in group projects. I know sometimes um, it may be difficult, but taking on those leadership roles, it will help you to gain the experience that you need to be able to work in the real world. So being able to take on that leadership in group projects, things like that, volunteering, taking on new tasks. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. Challenge yourself is challenging yourself may seem difficult, but I promise you, hands-on experience is the best experience. That is what I've learned. I can read something all day, but once I get into it, I'm like, okay, I got it. And so I think hands-on experience is very important, and just being able to set those professional goals for yourself and making sure that you track your goals and follow up with yourself, things like that to make sure that you stay on point with the goals that you are setting for yourself. And that will help.
All right. Thank you. I don't see any comments that have come in through here. Are there any final pieces of advice that you have for students, alums, the university community before we wrap things up tonight?
I'll say for uh, just to maintain integrity career wise, make sure you maintain integrity, make sure you maintain professionalism. That will help you build a strong reputation. Um, Also, making sure that you be open to change and be open to new opportunities for growth. Don't be afraid to grow. Another thing is making sure, like I stated, building relationships and being able to contact and um, be able to have a professional network like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably my favorite social media right now. And so being able to use those platforms, things like that, and also being able to make sure that you have a mentor. I I am strongly really an advocate for making sure that you have a mentor, having someone that you can go to for professional advice, um, and also personal advice. They sometimes come in both ways. And so, with school, life happens. And so you have to have someone that you can go to be able to help navigate through life and be able to help navigate career wise. And so I think uh, that will help tremendously. I know even with my job, they provided us with a mentor to help us get started with school. I mean, not school, like get started with the job. And so we still have a mentor. I've been there almost a year, not a year yet, but I still depend on those people to be able to assist me and my team. And like I say, being a team player is very important because when it comes to your job, you're gonna have to be a team player. So just making sure that, stay locked in with them.
And our alums serve as a great mentoring opportunity for students and for other alums. And so
Yes.
I encourage anyone listening tonight live or watching the recording later, if you're interested in connecting with Jason further about anything that he has talked about tonight, or just interested in knowing more about some of the things that you can do that he has expressed, definitely reach out to the Office of Career Development. I'd be more than happy to provide your contact information to Jason, or you can look him up on LinkedIn and connect with him that way too. But happy to provide that contact information to anyone. So don't hesitate to reach out to Career Development. We have a career mentoring network that our alums are a part of, and eager to connect with connect with other alums and our students as well. So thank you so much, Jason, for joining me this evening as we kicked off the fall semester of our Alumni Speaker Series. It was great getting to kind of showcase some of the things that you're all about and things that you're involved with the Upper Iowa community. So thank you again, anyone, for tuning in this evening. And I hope that you will join us again later this year in November, when we highlight November is National Career Development Month, and we will be joined by another alum that will continue this year's Alumni Speaker Series. So thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you all have a great night. Take care.